Hello, people. Welcome back to DR Sports. I'm your host to do the most and never coast, Matisse, in the building for another transfer show. We've got a lot to sink our teeth into today, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm good to see you in the chat, and we're going to get straight into it. Bernardo Silva on that thumbnail. I saw Man City fans in jubilation yesterday. Yeah, absolutely loving life. Dancing in groups, flocking, just. Barcelona no longer in for Bernardo. They were so excited, but now PSG, we never know. So we're going to talk about that as well, and also Man United. I'm calling them Club Rejection FC. This is a new scheme that has been started, and it's called Man United. Yeah, Men United. That's what it is, because they are struggling out here on these streets. We're going to get into it in all the news today. We'll start off with Bernardo Silva, because that is the big one. He's a big player, and I keep saying it. If Man City lose him, I think that really does put a massive dent in their title aspirations this season. Whether or not he's a consistent starter or not, you have Gundogan, who scored at the weekend, who's brilliant, really underrated player. You have Kevin De Bruyne, but you need that depth. That's what Man City are known for. They're known for that quality depth. And if they were to lose him, it would be crazy. But, the Sunday Times football correspondents from Sky Sports are saying it's an interesting one, because Bernardo has been here before. In the last two transfer windows, he has shown signs that he's considering going, and Manchester City have been open to selling at the right price. Bernardo will go for more than 59 million, but PSG, rivals to City in terms of Champions League, have a policy of letting players go if they really want to, and asking price is met. I think this one is a goer. Now, that is all true. Of course, Bernardo Silva is a player that has wanted to go for the past two windows. It always felt like he wanted to go to Spain. He wanted to go to Barcelona. Obviously, Barcelona at the moment are struggling to, get him over the line on top of all the other signings and acquisitions, without the sale of De Jong, without the movement of Aubameyang. Yet all of these guys on higher wages who they have been trying to potentially move out so they can bring in more. Bernardo Silva almost falling by the wayside. Even Marcos Alonso, who they're trying to bring in as well, is delayed because of this situation at Barcelona. And he's already agreed personal terms, and a fee with Chelsea's been agreed. Whereas Man City, the fee's not even been agreed. Now, obviously, Bernardo will eventually leave. It's very clear that at some point he wants to be able to move on. But when you let him leave is critical. And I think right now, you would obviously rather keep. I'm sure every Man City fan, I heard Man City fans were singing his name when he came on there at the weekend. So PSG, that's an incredible price to get Bernardo. If you even got him for 59 million, that would be a bargain in my opinion. So apparently this one has legs, and it's difficult, because Man City do have the policy of not keeping players if they want to go. They want a happy environment. Torres, I know he was nowhere near as much of a key cog in the Man City team. However, as soon as he said that, he knocked on Pep's door saying he wants to go to Barcelona, they opened the door for him and he was gone. Was that even a good decision on his part when you look at things now? I'm not so sure, but he's probably like 5th or 6th in the pecking order. But yeah, they really don't like to keep players that, preferably don't want to be there. They try to find a solution for them. But I think this one is just like last summer, a little different, because Bernardo, they realize what they have on their hands, an extremely talented player that's probably irreplaceable in this market. When you look at this market currently and the players that are going around right now, Bernardo Silva is pretty irreplaceable. Tactically, he's able to do so many different roles for Manchester City. He's able to play the 8. He's able to drop deep. He's able to play in the 10. He's able to go out wide if need be. He's a hard worker as well. And when you get a player that's technical like him, sometimes you have to force, you have to give away some of the work rate, and you have to facilitate the team around him. You don't have to do that for Bernardo. He's just quality. He's quality. He's honestly one of my favorite players in the league right now. And I think, if you let him go, it would be a big L. But Daniel says here, Bernardo won't go anywhere. There are even rumors that Man City are in negotiations to extend his contract. That's why PSG rumors are coming up. A tactic to get a higher salary. That could well make perfect sense to me as well, because I did see that potentially there is a new contract for him as well, about to be sorted. So this could be exactly what you're saying, Daniel. This could really just be a lot of smoke, but there is no fire. This could really just be trying to get a higher salary, trying to cause a little bit of uncertainty, but in the end of the day, he gets that new contract, and I think you guys should definitely be trying to get that contract signed for him. So Bernardo Silva is extremely hard to replace, and you've got to do your absolute best to keep him. And he seems like, one of those players that even if he has a preference to go elsewhere, he's going to remain professional. He's going to keep performing for you if he stays. That's not a problem. He did it last season. He'll do it again. So, yeah, we'll see. But Barcelona fans in the chat, I can see they still think he will sign for them. It will just be in January, maybe somebody's saying. So, yeah, I mean, it will be interesting to see what happens. It will be very interesting to see what happens. But I saw, yesterday that it seemed that Barcelona were out of the race for him, or they couldn't bring him in. So if Bernardo Silva ends up staying, then that's brilliant news for Man City. Man United have also been offered Thomas Meunier from PSG, I believe, the right back. The deal will depend on outgoings. I mean, again, Man United's targets continue to I mean, they would be underwhelming for most big clubs, but I don't know what Man United fans are thinking on these targets, but they're certainly reminding us of where Man United are right now as a club. They're not screaming out. Sorry, Dortmund, not PSG. Sorry, it's not giving us a lot of hope that they're going to strive for top four. They're going to make serious moves for top four. A lot of the players that linked with Man United right now seem to kind of keep them where they are, which is around about that sixth position max. When you look at the way Arsenal have strengthened, when you look at the way Tottenham have strengthened, Chelsea, you can't really see Man United getting amongst that with some of these players that they're being linked with. And then the rejections that they're facing, because when you look at Joao Felix, who apparently Manchester United put in a big bid for, and it was immediately rejected by Atletico. Again, how do you bring in these quality of players without Champions League? Champions League seems to be a stumbling block for Man United a lot more than people expected. A lot of times people say, oh, you can bring in top players without Champions League football. But the amount of times we're seeing links, Aubameyang, even little links with Man United yesterday, but would prefer Chelsea Champions League football. De Jong, same thing, Champions League football. It seems to be a massive stumbling block. But yeah, this one here says Joao Felix will give Bruno Fernandes and Christian Eriksen a run for their money if he signs for Manchester United, which I'm sure he would. But listen, that target, like I said, even if he's played in the 10 position, you can dream about it all you want to compete, but you have to put down the money. And 110 million apparently was rejected. 110 million for Joao Felix. It's actually quite insane that he's still commanding over 100 million in a way, because Atletico Madrid hasn't really worked out for Joao Felix the way we expected. So normally you'd expect his price to crash down to maybe 70, 65, but he is very talented. He is very talented. And obviously Atletico Madrid would want a lot of the money they spent back on him. I think they must have spent around about 130 on him or something like that. It was a lot of money that they spent from Benfica. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see whether or not that. I don't think that will happen, to be honest. I think that one is a shot in the dark from Man United, and that's if they're rejecting 110 million. 130 United's 130 bid just got rejected by Atletico. 130. Surely Atletico wouldn't reject 130 million, unless that's in installments and it's scattered about and not up front. Yeah, that's insane. That's a lot of money. Wow. Apparently, Joao Felix wants to operate behind the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo and Anthony Martial as a striker. He feels his best position is as second forward. I would agree. I would definitely agree with that. He definitely seems to be best performing in that position, playing like a number 10 with a guy in front of me. If he was, that would be a great Portuguese connection. You've got Bruno Fernandes, you've got Ronaldo, you've got you've got Joao Felix, but yeah, 130 million euros. Okay, not pounds. So basically 110 million pounds. Okay, so that's. I thought the way you said it in the chat there, it seemed like as if they'd put a second bid in of 130 and it was immediately rejected again. Okay, so 130 million euros, basically 110 million pounds, same kind of thing, rejected by Atletico Madrid there. So same bid, makes perfect sense. Joao Felix, how much was he? Let's take a look. I'll take a little look for you, but I do feel like it was around about that 100 million pound mark, round about that. But of course, when you do deals of this magnitude, you're looking at loads of add-ons. Same with Eden Hazard as well. It says here he joined from Benfica for 126 million euros. So they would minimum want that money back, which is round about what Man United are offering. And it was rejected. So yeah, that's what it currently is, 126 million euros. I'm not sure if that's it, but that's what's come up. But there could be some other fees in there, maybe add-ons. I'm not sure. So we'll have to see. But yeah, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. He's definitely one of the record transfers, the big record transfers that we've seen. So it's going to be interesting. Now, let's see, because also Manchester United, they're looking at ownership change as always. The Glazers are and have been wanted to be, they've been wanted out by a decent section of the supporters for quite some time, quite a large section of supporters. And it says here, any ownership change must be the right change for Manchester United supporters' trust. We've seen that at Chelsea before, so we can relate to you. Saying that any change to the club's ownership must be right for the club's billionaire. Sir Jim Ratcliffe has expressed a desire. This is same guy that came in for Chelsea during our ownership change as well. He came in, but I believe he came in quite late. He did. So we had a whole, bidding process, and he kind of just skipped that. And he came in very late with a bid, Jim Ratcliffe. But he's a lot of money, billionaire, of course. And he's expressed interest in trying to buy a football club for a while now. So this is not the first time we're hearing about Jim Ratcliffe's name. He's expressed an interest to buy the club. Should Manchester United be put up for sale by the Glazer family, who are interested in selling a minority stake of the club, according to Bloomberg. So United's chief supporters group have stated themselves on this response. While supporters have called for change, of course, this has to be the right change. Any prospective new owner or investor has to be committed to the culture, ethos, and best traditions of the club. United fan group also called for investment to restore United to former glories, embedded in supporters into the ownership model, and put money into the the rejuvenation of Old Trafford. So a lot going on there. Now, it seems like the Glazers, just want to let a minority stake go, which is understandable. But yeah, it seems like Jim Ratcliffe is a United. I know he's a United fan. Yeah, he is. Yeah. So he's a United fan because I remember this when he was trying to come for us as well. And do I think he will buy the club? I mean, the club has to be for sale first. You can't buy anything that's not for sale. So the Glazers will have to put it out for sale. That would be breaking news. That would be huge news if that was to happen. And it would be massive news for Manchester United. Probably the best news that Manchester United could receive right now. But yeah, I think if it is up for sale, I do think Ratcliffe is a big... I do think he's a big favorite because he's a United supporter and he has already showed interest in buying football club previously, like I said. So we'll have to see, guys. But at the moment, the Glazers just want a minority stake, so we'll have to see. So moving on, Liverpool are prepared to risk losing Naby Keita for nothing next summer rather than sell to RB Leipzig in this window, as they anticipate being able to go for Jude Bellingham in 2023. Also, Man City fans tell me that they also will be in for Jude Bellingham. We'll see if that comes to fruition, but we know Liverpool have had long-standing interest in the English international. Would be a massive move, a massive upgrade. I think Liverpool right now, their midfield, a lot of injury-prone players in there, whether you look at Thiago, Keita, Ox, Henderson, is the most reliable from a fitness standpoint. Fabinho is also having a bit of an up and down period. Elliott, you could argue, needs to start Old Trafford. There's a lot going on in that midfield. And yeah, they need to be very careful, I think, Liverpool this season in that midfield. If they don't find somebody, and it doesn't look like they're going to sign anyone, we've seen Klopp come out and say already they're not going to get anyone. They have to protect those midfielders and try and keep them fit, because that's the only area of their team where we've seen it before. Too much disturbance in one department of the pitch. We saw it with centre-backs before. They had to start moving midfielders into defence. It could really throw Liverpool off, really could. They could lose control of matches if they don't have the elite level midfielders they need, and then more pressure on the defence, more moments like Zaha, more moments like Mitrovic, and yeah, so that's a worry. So we'll have to see what happens there if Keita can get back fit. He was on the bench for the game against Crystal Palace. I think he just come back from an injury, so bear that in mind. Kluivert has agreed personal terms with Fulham as his priority is to join an English club. This is Justin Kluivert, the winger. that I believe was at Ajax, and now obviously at Roma. The two clubs are trying to find a full agreement, round of talks scheduled today. So very interesting move there. A lot of players like him, Malcolm, if you guys remember Malcolm from Bordeaux, and then he went to Barcelona, I believe. He was another exciting talent. He was also at Roma. Don't know what's happened to him. There's a lot of these players, your Kluiverts, your Malcolms, they just kind of disappear. Not sure whether how good they really are, but we'll have to see what happens there. Udinese are also among clubs interested in Hector Bellerin. Still hasn't moved, which is surprising. Apparently Malcolm is still in Russia. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I think when it comes down to Hector Bellerin, he's wow. I'm surprised he hasn't left yet. He's literally had a great loan or good loan at Real Betis, and we thought he would make a permanent transfer there and free up wage bill for Arsenal and free up space. But he's still at Arsenal waiting for that move. And now Udinese have come in and are set to need, and they also need a new right back with Scappi expected to go to Atalanta. So we'll have to see. I think Bellerin really wanted to go back to Real Betis from what I could see. He was settled. He was happy. Back to his native Spain, of course, as well. But Real Betis, for some reason, I don't know if it's money problems or what, but they haven't been able to come back in and make it permanent. So he's now, in the last couple of weeks, really does have to find a club. You know, Bellerin's not going to play this season whatsoever for Arsenal, I don't think. You've got Ben White, you've got Tomiyasu, even Cedric. So he's like fourth choice. So he really has to go and try and find a new club, because otherwise he's not going to get any game time whatsoever this season. Joao Pedro, also looking like Newcastle are preparing a new bid for him in the next few hours. The opening proposal was turned down, but João is keen on the move. Of course, this is the Watford player. Watford right now are getting robbed a little bit. Dennis obviously went to Nottingham Forest. You have the winger Sarr, who could be going to Palace. Maybe a Zaha replacement. There are some links with Zaha moving as well, potentially as well to Chelsea, but we'll have to see. But yeah, Watford, they have some players. They have some really good players. So it's not a surprise to finally see some of them getting linked with moves away. Hector Bellerin is difficult because Real Betis does not want to pay his transfer fee. Understandable. A lot of Spanish teams can't register players at the moment. Not sure if that's an issue for them. I know that's an issue for Barcelona right now. Look for Spanish teams late in the market once they can register players. It's not a Barca thing. Okay, not just a Barca thing. Okay, thank you. You literally just responded to exactly what I thought potentially it would be. Yeah. So yeah, maybe a late move. Deadline day is going to be exciting this season. There's definitely going to be a lot going on for sure. Milner, Henderson are past it, says Mustafa as well. Radcliffe is a waffler. One of these comments says as well. I mean, listen, Radcliffe, I don't know how serious he is, because if he really wanted to say buy Chelsea a few months ago, he would have got into the bidding process like everybody else at the right time, and then he would have gone through the whole process. But he decided to join late, and therefore he was never going to win, because he would have then compromised the whole process, and everybody else would have been like, what is going on? And I don't know why he did that, but, you know. So I don't know with Man United, but Man United, like I said, you have to be up for sale first. You have to be up for sale. If you're not up for sale, then it's very difficult to even entertain these stories, because, you know, if it's not for sale, it's not going to be bought. Let's check out a few more comments. If it isn't the lack of Champions League football at Man United, it's because they're crap, says David. I'm sure that has, I mean, maybe it has something to do with it, you know, the fact that Man United are struggling right now in terms of performance. But yeah, I mean, if they had Champions League football, it certainly wouldn't hurt. It certainly wouldn't hurt. I think no Champions League football, and the fact that they're not playing well at the moment, you know, but, you know, not playing well at the moment, that can be changed. You know, that can be changed. Give them a few months, you know, even a few weeks, the story could look completely different. All it takes is a shock win against Liverpool at home next Monday, and suddenly people are going to start feeling a little bit better about things. But the no Champions League football, that is constant. That's all season long, no Champions League football, and that's some players will not. They just simply won't give that up, and right, understandably so. So it's a pedigree thing. It certainly puts you amongst the elite, and, you know, once you drop out of it, if you're not in it this season, and you're expecting Man United won't qualify maybe for it next season unless they win the Europa League. That's 2 seasons, turns into 3. Next thing you know, you haven't played Champions League football for 4 or 5 years as a player. and it's gone. So yeah, let's see what's happening here. Last few comments before we wrap up. I don't know what some of these comments even mean. Let's see. Let's see. Sarr will be right wing for Elise and Ayew. Okay. I mean, I thought Elise would play more games, but you know, maybe not. Ayew, I can definitely understand that for sure. He's a good workhorse and he can hold the ball up well, but you know, I don't think he's a long-term solution on the right-hand side. If they bring in Sarr and they have Elise and they keep Zaha, but the only reason why I mentioned Zaha is because Zaha's running out of contract, I think, in 2023. So are you prepared to lose him for free? Is he going to sign a new contract? These are the questions you have to ask yourself, Palace fans. Zaha's contract runs out in 2023. So from what I hear, he's available for a cut price because of that. Or is he going to sign a contract? You let me know, Palace fans. But you have to pay that situation an amount of respect because there's only a year left. Can Palace afford to lose a player of Zaha's magnitude for nothing? I don't personally think that would be wise, but I don't know. So we have to see. There's a lot going on there. So yeah, that's why I bring Zaha up. But if he does stay and you have Zaha, Sarr, Elise, Eze, that's exciting, man. That's very exciting. So yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. It could be a late move, but I think if you bring in Sarr and you get money in for Zaha, that's not the worst situation in the world, to be fair, as well. So we'll have to take a look. But listen, smash up the likes, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments of all of the different stories. Make sure you subscribe to DR Sports as well. And yeah, we'll see you next time for another Transfer Daily Show. Big up your damn selves. In a bit, people. Peace.